Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Emergent Gamer Podcast, episode 264. I'm one of your hosts, Neo Ayoshi, joined by Felix Hergood.
Hey, what's up?
Lock and Key.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
And Trip Zero. What's going
up,
on,
guys? It's Trip Zero. How are you?
I'm good, Neo Ayoshi. I'm good, man.
That's good. That's good to hear, guys. Before we get started, I want to do a little housekeeping. We are on YouTube. Please go and subscribe to us there, Emergent Gamer. And check us out on all the podcast services. We are out there in your earballs. So please check us out.
Balls.
And tell your friends.
Yeah, baby.
Tell your friends if you're already subscribed.
Tell your friends.
And your mom.
And your mom. She would love to hear our voices.
We're for sure your mom's favorite
Unless
gamers.
you're like underage and like 14 and your mom hears me saying fuck, then you should probably not tell your mom.
No, still tell your mom. Don't listen to
Tell
Felix.
your mom. I want to see what she says. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
That's
as long
not
as, she
what game she's
doesn't, as long as she doesn't make you unsubscribe.
Yeah, as long as she doesn't make you unsubscribe.
All right. So Felix,
Yeah.
what's up, man?
What is
Something you want to
up,
share? Because
man?
I asked you about this earlier this week because I was shocked.
I don't know, man. I might have, a neurological problem or something. I'm not really sure.
It's a large leap to make.
I
sir.
know.
There are hundreds of episodes of evidence of that possibility.
This past weekend we had the beta, the open beta of the PS4 version of Marvel's Avengers. And I said, I'm going to stick in there and I'm going to try it because I only made it to the war table part, where the war table is where the game is no longer a story quest. It's more like open up and then try out some of like the modes. Okay. So I got into it. I did 5 hours. I played as Kamala Khan and I played as Iron Man and I played as Kamala Khan, Iron Man, and Hulk again, I guess. After 5 hours, I had a ripping headache, and I think it's from what you said. I don't know if you put that in my head, and then all of a sudden I observed it more, and that gave me a headache. That could be true. That might have happened. But I just got to the end of 5 hours with a ripping headache, and the last time I felt that poorly after playing a game was recently when I did VR for an extended period of time. And VR, as we all know it, when it's in the lower res, they kind of mask things with motion blur. Right? So you said this game had motion blur. I observed it when I was playing it for 5 hours. But then, like, I also had a bad experience with PlayStation VR where I got mad headaches from it and don't want to play it ever again. So I don't know.
That is literally an effect that it has on me as well.
Yeah.
Like, it makes it hurt to look at, like extensive motion blur and just like the muddy graphics nature of the graphics. If it's not clear, it looks like I need glasses, like that feeling like where things are blurry. Right. That's what it looks like when I was looking at that game on my TV.
So comparing that fact that I got a headache and then the fact that there were other concerns I had with it, the fact that it does seem a lot like Destiny in terms of its game structure. I'm worried that the game's going to come out and then I'm going to be in this like game cannibal again that's trying to cannibalize all the other games I play. Like play this all the time. Only play this. Don't play anything else. We're doing this 10-year game. Like I'm not into that shit. I'm really not. I can, I say that, but then I'm like pumping money into Fallout. But they're not the same. They're not the same. I'm actively choosing to play Fallout. There's nothing in Fallout that's happening right now that I feel like. I mean, we are doing this. Never mind. We are doing this legendary run thing. So that is the only thing that keeps me coming back to the game. But go ahead, Locke.
Trip, you hit your point first.
Oh, I just wanted to say real quick, Felix. I don't think you need to feel like you need to play games like this because you enjoy other games that might share a style peripherally. Like if a game exists and is continuous and ongoing and is a loot-based game, it doesn't mean you're gonna love every one of those games.
Right,
I mean, they all are gonna do something very different.
So the other thing,
you might like the pull of it, but it's gonna have a different vibe, music, texture, color, way you engage with your friends and your enemies, which could change your entire feeling about it.
But when I got into it, and now I realize that I never, ever, ever will ever love Anthem. Because I played as Iron Man for an extended period of time, and it's trash the way they simulate like rocket-propelled fucking engines, like flying around. It's just not like the character stays static. Yes, Locke.
There's a few things. I wouldn't judge the way that flying in Anthem is compared to Iron Man in this game, because I think Anthem is actually incredible.
I was going to ask to clarify, because it did feel great. Flying felt amazing in that.
Yeah, flying pretty much felt like I was Iron Man inside.
I've heard people compare this game to Anthem's controls for Iron Man. That's all. I haven't played Anthem.
Well, so here there's differences. Are you talking about the way that you control the character, or are you talking about the way that the character flies and moves? Because if you're just talking about that you don't like the way that you have to control the character is different. It's a different problem.
No, I just wish the character moved more like Iron Man in the movies, and that's it. And he doesn't shoot fast enough around the screen for me. I wish he would like shoot up fast like Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man does, and he doesn't do that. Like, and I understand why, because when you're playing a game, really the character is just stationary. You know, and the world moves around it, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So like I understand why this is hard to animate. You know, like, but you know, if it's that hard to animate, don't fucking put them in a game.
I mean, that's a big problem with the game in general, because all these characters, like all the Avengers, they all feel and behave differently, but they're all in the same game, in the same type of style game, right? So you have Black Widow, a human being who is just punching and kicking people, and then you have the Hulk, who is a massive brute force who is supposed to crush cars and stuff, right? But you can't have him do that. You can't have him be the super strong thing that he's supposed to be. And just like with Iron Man, you can't have him operate at the speed and feel that he does in the movies. Like,
I know that.
It's a limitation of the game, and like that makes it not fun. I guess
right. So like I first felt it when you played that story mission and then you tried to fly high, and then Iron Man just hits this countdown that says you're out of the gameplay area, and I'm like, come on, man. Fuck
my
this.
favorite.
And then I was playing him in the harm room. That's where I started experiencing that I didn't really like it, because in the harm room you're not limited but by the walls of the harm room. So I did the harm room thing, and it's fine, but I had free roam to fly wherever I wanted to. And then I played a mission where you have to do these like different points. You have to like wait in an area for like the computer system Jarvis to like do something, and there's these points that keep getting taken by the enemies, kind of like in Destiny, where there's like player enemies that take points in control. You have
to like just
it's very much like
zone,
control,
clear zones, so stuff like that.
That was the icing on the cake with my Destiny Marvel Avengers analogy. I started playing this, it felt like Control. I didn't like Iron Man. I had a fucking headache, and I went, fuck this, and then immediately got off and sat through Sony support to try and get my money back. And you know what? It worked. I got my money back.
Good for you, man.
I think.
So you will not be playing this game.
No. I'm fine. There's other things I want to put my attention to, so I'm not worried about it.
Got it.
Yeah, it's fair.
It's a wait and it's definitely a wait and see. It's like, because by the time it comes out and they maybe fix it by adding like a switch to turn off motion blur, or they release some characters that I just can't turn down. It's like I heard there's rumor when they data mined that they found Black Panther in there or something.
There's a lot. Yeah, they found a whole bunch of characters this week.
So they find a bunch of characters, they data mine. Maybe if some of those characters come out and it's really cool, and there's a switch to turn it off way down the road, I might do it. But when is that going to be? That's going to be in November, when 2 fucking games that I want to play are coming out.
Honestly,
Cyberpunk and Assassin's Creed. So I won't be seeing this game ever.
I think this is, like I said last week, this is a game that needs like at least another 6 months to a year before it's ready to be like a fun experience. So, but they're releasing it now. So
it's possible in that year I might consider it. Maybe it's on sale or something, or it ends up on Game Pass if that happens.
Yeah, it's the only way. This is if it was in Game Pass.
Yeah, same. I think I'm at that point as well. So Locke.
Yes.
Tried a new game.
We did. You and I.
Yeah, man. Last night we played Rogue Company. It's a game by I don't even know the developer.
Hi-Res Studios.
Hi-Res Studios. Yeah, I knew I recognized them. What did they make?
No idea.
They do
a Google search waiting to happen.
I'm already on it.
Yeah, I'm already on it.
Yeah, so
Smite. He did Smite. Like Realm Royale. Yeah.
Okay. And Realm Royale is popular. but yeah, so we played Rogue Company last night. It was you were still streaming Final Fantasy. Channing and I were looking for something to play, so we booted into Valorant. Of course, Valorant's having an issue with parties, so we can't team up. And we're like, well, we're here. What are we going to play? Shit, we installed Rogue Company. Let's try Rogue Company. So we booted up. We started playing it, and then obviously you jumped in, Neo. And we played for a good while. We played for like four hours or so in total from when we started.
It was 4 hours.
Channing and I, because we started at like 7 o'clock.
Gotcha.
Or 8 o'clock. But anyway, so yeah, it is a third-person shooter. It is class and character based, very much like a Rainbow Six type operator feel, where each character has different abilities, different guns, and you have an economy system like Valorant, where depending on how well you perform, you get more money. You can buy different things within the game. It's a game that's seeing mild success. And it's a game that I've been following for a while because one of the developers, his first name's Scott. I'm forgetting his last name, but he goes by Gandhi. Gandhi was a very prominent and popular Halo 2 professional competitive player. So I had been following him on Twitter for a long time, and then this game came out, and he started making videos for it and interacting with the community and giving out codes. So I've been watching it for a while. But it's coming out at a very odd time with things like Warzone, Valorant. We're in a spot right now where there's a few good FPS titles that people can play, and I think this one's kind of struggling to find its footing against some of those games. It's seeing a bit more success with Doc returning, and Doc's been streaming it almost exclusively, I think, recently, which has helped. But the game overall is fun, I guess.
Yeah, I'm confused by its launch because somehow it was in my Epic library. I don't know if this is like an early access game or it's free to play where you buy into like more characters or whatever.
It's technically still in beta. Okay. I got in super early but never downloaded it, and I think then they were doing giveaways with Twitch, so potentially you tuned into someone's stream, but I don't know how that would have then got in your library without. If you link your account. Maybe, because I had to input the code when I downloaded it. Felix, what were you going to say before we talk about the game a little bit more?
I was just going to ask a question. I'm looking at the art for it, and it has a chick with a samurai sword on it. Is there melee?
That's who I played all. That's who I played all last night.
Pretty cool melee in it or something, I guess.
So all of your melees are either close quarter or they're ranged, so you can throw them. So she legitimately throws her katana. There's another dude that has an axe. But yeah, it's each character is very specific in what they can do. So yeah, the girl, I forget her name, has a katana that you can purchase. It's not really all that good in the multiplayer. It's more of like a campy thing, but it's still pretty cool. But it's a 4v4, like I said, class based. They have two different game modes. They have a standard search and destroy from Call of Duty, where if you wipe the enemy team, you win the round, or if you plant the bomb and the bomb explodes, you win the round, and it's first to 7 rounds won. And then there's another game mode, which is essentially King of the Hill, where each team has a pool of lives. I think it's like 15 lives that the team shares, and you keep respawning in until you're at 0. So it's only those two game modes. And I'll get into more specifics about it. Overall, I had a good time overall. But what were you going to ask, Trip?
Well, I was watching the trailer because this is the first time I've actually heard about it, and it does look really fun. Your comparison of like a third person, almost Rainbow Six experience, and like a little bit of a cartoon style to it is kind of spot on. What's like the money situation? Because I see you keep like they kill someone and they get like $500 or something, or like 1,000.
Yeah, so it's very similar to CSGO and Valorant, where you have to manage an economy, which is very new to me because I didn't have a Counter-Strike background prior to playing Valorant. But essentially, you start off the first round with enough to buy your pistol, your sidearm. And then as you play the game, you get money for assists, you get money for kills, you get money for rounds won, and at the end of that round, you now have another pool of money that then you go to purchase stuff. So you have to manage your money economy. In this game, it's a little bit more forgiving because you don't lose stuff. Where in something like Valorant and Counter-Strike, where if I buy a gun that costs $5,000 and then I die, I lose that $5,000 and that gun is gone and I need to rebuy it, right? Where in this game you keep it, so it's far more forgiving, I should say, because once you buy it, you own it. But you still do need to perform somewhat well to be able to buy a lot of upgrades.
Yes. So what that means is every round, rather than Valorant, where you have to be careful of what you purchase. You have to plan each round with your purchases. You can kind of do it's more of a ramp up every time, every round. So like the enemy team will also be doing the same thing. So they'll have perks that are better. They'll have guns that are better. They'll be upgrading all of their gear as you are. So the better you do, the faster you can get better in the next round, right? Or in the following rounds. Yeah.
Yeah, so like by the time you reach like round 4, everyone has pretty much bought everything within their arsenal or a good amount of it. So I would like to see them do some tweaks with that because I do think it's a little too forgiving for players, but that could just be what they're going for. They might not be going for the hyper competitive scene like Valorant is doing. Overall, I did have some mechanical issues with the game. Especially coming and playing something so polished like Valorant. This game, the third person can feel a little wonky with how you interact with the geometry. Rolling, like actually dodge rolling is a very like crucial mechanic in the game for engagements. And you clip onto geometry a lot. You clip onto corners and walls a little bit too easily. It's definitely not as fluid as like a hunter dodge roll in Destiny. And it
prone?
just I don't believe it has prone, but you do crouch.
Just crouching.
You can crouch behind cover and poke out and shoot and crouch behind cover, pretty tactical like Rainbow Six. But I just think they need some work on their gunplay and the way that your character interacts with the world. I might be nitpicking it too much, but after coming from a game that does it so incredibly well, almost perfectly, it's really hard to go back and do it.
Comparing to Valorant, right?
Yeah. And Destiny. Yeah, like Destiny's movement is also probably some of the best movement in an FPS game, right? So like when you compare something that isn't quite trying to do it but is doing something similar, it's hard to compare two really good examples of what an FPS game can feel like against Rogue Company. So we'll probably play it a couple more times. It's definitely something that I would hop in and play with friends if it was free to play. I don't see myself giving it money if when it comes out full launch that it does cost money. There is a Founders Pack right now, 3 different levels of Founders Packs. But I don't know if the game comes out and is going to cost $20 or $30. Right now, it is in beta still. I don't know if there's a release date. So I think it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you're a fan of third person, because this is a third person shooter, which is also very different from me, right? I'm mostly a first person shooter person. So it's worth your time to check out. The game. The developers seem very much involved with the community, very much in tune with listening to the feedback and trying to make fixes as quickly as possible. They have a great social media presence, so they're doing a lot of things right from a community management perspective. Dr. Disrespect has designed a map for them, and he's trying to get them to make it, which is absolutely hilarious. So he's actually designed a map and has tweeted at Gandhi.
I've seen this. I have actually seen this map, this layout.
Yeah. So he did, because so Doc designed maps for Call of Duty. Back before he was a streamer, he did map design. So he whipped one up for Rogue Company and is now making it this like public thing, and all of his people are like, you guys now need to make this map. So
that's funny.
We'll see if it actually happens. But overall, I enjoyed my time. Would you disagree with any of that, Neo, or is there anything that I didn't hit that you'd want to chime in on?
I mean, really, the thing that felt weird to me was like in the tutorial, they're like, you can use cover and duck behind stuff, but like, you're right, a lot of the geometry gets in your way, and sometimes it feels like I'm getting hit by shots that I should not have got hit by, or I try to peek a corner and I'm shooting the wall and missing the enemy. Some of the guns just feel weird to me. It feels like the difference between like a Fortnite and like another shooter, right? Like this feels more comparable to like the Fortnite style of shooting, where the accurate guns don't feel accurate to me. Like it just doesn't. It feels like there is some sort of weird disconnect between like the shooting and me pulling the trigger. I can't explain it. It just
no, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was only using the SMG last night on that one character, because it's the only gun that reliably felt good in close range. Everything else just felt so off.
No shotgun.
Single shotgun.
There's shotguns. There's one character that has a shotgun, but you have to pay to get him. He's not in the default.
I opted to use more of the single shotguns, like the revolver that I saw or I had, and the DMRs, like the semi-automatic guns, where you had to where they just don't fire automatically. I had more success with those because my shots counted when I felt like they counted, at least when I was using it. But yeah, that is I don't like the automatic guns in that. They just didn't feel great to me at all.
Nice.
All right, so
yeah, we may talk about it again because we may play it some more. But I guess my final stamp before we move on would be, if you have the opportunity to play it and you're an FPS fan, definitely give it a shot for the sole sake that supporting these developers, this development studio would be a great idea. But it's not going to, in my opinion, it's not going to supersede things like Valorant, Counter-Strike even, or Warzone and Call of Duty.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there, for sure. You guys want to move into the news of the evening?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Hell yeah.
So let me just put a stamp on this for just to get listeners out there a new idea, kind of delineate the moment here. We're trying something new on the Emerging Gamer podcast, where we are going to focus on what we determined amongst ourselves is the biggest, the best, the most meaningful, the most newsworthy, using all these criteria. What's the best piece of news that happened in the last week to talk about? And we'll talk about it and then talk about what that might mean in a larger discussion. Just have a big branching topical discussion about that news and its peripheral meaning. So we're going to hop in tonight with one of the largest pieces of this past week, the Epic Store battle against Apple.
Yeah, this is huge too. Should we give a little overview breakdown of the events that occurred?
Yeah, for sure.
Like last Thursday,
yeah,
right?
Because there's multi steps to this.
It's a pretty long thing to where we're currently at. But yeah, as of Thursday, the August 13th is when this kind of all happened.
Went down. So it was like that morning, Epic changed their iOS and Google versions of Fortnite to say, hey, buy it through Apple or buy it through iOS for your V-Bucks. Pay this money, pay like $10, or you can pay directly to us and get a discount on the same amount of cash. Apple that day caught on to it and said, no, and then removed Fortnite from the App Store, just like delisted it. Yeah, just like straight up.
There's a rule that for any digital purchases on apps, they have to go through Apple's App Store, which takes 30% of whatever is paid for Apple, essentially.
And what Epic did for both of them, but it started with Apple, was they made their discount on V-Bucks 20%. Right, so they're giving the gamers 20% off. They're keeping that 10% cut, right? So they're getting 10% more money, but they're discounting it by 20 is the way that they're claiming it to me as a gamer. Hey, I'm giving you 20% off if you buy directly through me. It was $9.99 for V-Bucks versus $7.99 for V-Bucks. Those were
they're not wrong. Everybody does win in that scenario, except when they lose access to the Apple iOS Store ecosystem.
Yeah. So the walled garden of Apple is, as Trip just mentioned, you have to send your money through the App Store. All purchases 100% are done through the App Store and are not done by redirecting to some other source.
It's like Apple views it as, hey, you're using our storefront to sell your game, to make your money. This is the cut that you signed up for. That when you agreed to become a developer on our platform, you agreed to this. A lot of people,
it's important to note that this is for digital goods primarily. You can order food through food apps, and you don't pay Apple a cut.
Correct.
Things like that. This is digital goods that are used inside of whatever application you purchase them for.
So in-app purchases, subscriptions, those types of things are all done through the App Store. And Google has the same rule set. Google has the 30% cut that they get for using the Google Play Store. Now, it's a little bit different is Fortnite was only added to the Google Play Store recently, within the past year. For years, it was not downloadable in the Google Play Store until Google essentially forced Epic to put it into the Google Play Store, and then they started charging 30%.
Yeah, you had the side load before. What's up, Felix?
Functionally, what does this do to a game that's a Fortnite like copy that's installed on somebody's phone?
It's a really good question. It's a really good question.
Yeah.
So nothing happens to the current version that they have installed. What stops happening is no future updates can be pushed to that client. So if Fortnite were to release, and Fortnite is all based off of seasons, all based off of updates.
Oh, I see.
1000%. I cannot get the latest update. I can also go into my recent purchase history because I've downloaded it before, and I can re-download it in its last updatable state. But after that, I can no longer go to the App Store for updates. As it currently stands, where we're currently at right now, I can play Fortnite on iOS if I've already downloaded it, or it's in my recent purchase history. But no future updates are allowed currently.
Fortnite fans be pissed.
There's another slight twist to this as well, because Apple iOS updates as a whole are sometimes known for breaking the technology behind Unreal Engine, which is also what Epic owns. Epic owns Unreal Engine and their technology, and we're going to go deeper into this in a second. But even if they weren't going to do what they're talking about doing in the future, even like an iPhone update might make the game not even functional at all because of what it does to the Unreal technology. And without
developers have to
store,
get ahead of that, right? They have to get ahead of those updates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So right on the 13th, go to timeline a little bit so we don't get too much in the weeds right off the bat and miss things. So on the 13th, we have a way to go. We get redirected and purchased directly through Epic for our V-Bucks. Epic is happy. They feel great. They're like, yeah, fuck Apple. We found our way. We found the loophole. We're dope. It takes Apple less than 24 hours to say, you guys are a bunch of idiots. We know what you're doing. You need to stop.
It had to have been that day. It must have been that day.
I would imagine that it was. We'd have to find out exactly the timeline very, very specifically.
Right.
But yeah, so essentially at that point, Apple pulls it. Apple pulls it from the App Store and says, absolutely not. You are not allowed to be doing this. All in-app purchases need to come through us. And Google does the same thing, right? So Apple catches all this flack and is still catching the majority of the flack, at least in the media's eyes and in the topic of conversation. Google is a part of it, but they don't generate as much revenue in the App Store. They're not Apple, for Christ's sake. So it's not going to be the driver of social media. It's still mostly Apple versus Epic. So they're pulled from the App Store, and at that point, Epic then says, all right, cool, we'll take you to court, and decides to open up a lawsuit.
Oh, wait a minute. They were ready for this, though. They were ready for...
They were ready. They knew they were breaking the terms of service.
Because the moment that it got pulled, they tweeted and pushed this to every game client, this video, this advertisement, that parodies the 1984 ad of Apple.
Correct.
Did you guys see this?
I did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I heard of it. I didn't watch it. I will watch it now.
It is a complete. It's a parody of the original Apple ad, the Macintosh ad, from '84, and they're essentially saying, all right, here the message is: Epic Games has defied the App Store monopoly. In retaliation, Apple is blocking Fortnite from 1 billion devices. join a fight to stop 2020 from becoming 1984.
And it's hashtag free Fortnite. So, like, it's very calculated, right? Epic feels like they have enough sway to take Apple to court and to try and win this in legal, right? Epic didn't find a loophole that they thought that they would be able to get away with. They found a loophole that they knew they would get called out for, did it so that they would publicly get called out, to then start this sway of people siding with them to change the public opinion, to then have more sway going into court, right? Like this, you don't file lawsuits same day against Apple and Google if you didn't know it was coming. Like, lawyers are not suing people same day unless they already know it's going to happen.
This was ready.
They filed separate civil suits against Apple and Google in federal court on Thursday. So Thursday morning, they released the V-Bucks store loophole. They then release a video. They then sue Apple and Google within 24 hours. And they also get pulled from the App Store in that timeline. So all of that happens on Thursday, which is out of control. It's out of control.
So almost a week ago. Almost a week ago. Got it.
Almost, yes. And, you know, social media blows up at this, right? Like, this is, you know, everyone at this point is talking about what could this mean, right? And there's two sides to the camp, right? There's the people that side with Apple and Google, and there's the people that side with what Epic is trying to do.
Well, there's a huge case with this video that they put out in their game, where to be made, where they are actively using their user base as a way to fight this Apple protest. They're framing Apple as if they're this monolithic like enemy that has to be taken down because they took away your Fortnite. They took away your game that you love playing, right? That is pretty much the framing of the video, more or less. And Tim Sweeney's been pretty vocal on Twitter about it, saying that, well, we're weaponizing Fortnite fans, but the maker of the smartphone does not have the right to dictate the terms of our business. Is the point that he's trying to make? Where do you guys come down on the thought that do you think he's in the right here making this point by using this video?
I'm very curious where you guys fall on if you fall on a camp, or if you're kind of indifferent, or if you agree with both sides in certain scenarios. I'll go first with my opinion. It's very hard for me to understand the perspective of Epic, right? Because it's not a perspective that I could ever share. I'm not an app developer. I don't have to deal with the cuts that Apple and Google are saying. I'm a consumer. And from a consumer's perspective, I am happy with iOS. I'm happy with the things that I get out of iOS. And I appreciate the ecosystem, the security, and the things that Apple has done to protect its brand and to protect its operating system. And a lot of that has to do with some of the things that we're talking about. I personally have never encountered where I need to spend more money, or so much more money that I felt like I was being robbed, to compensate for a developer's 30% cut that they're losing out on, right? Like, I've never personally felt that way in anything that I've needed to purchase. So personally, I don't side with Epic. The way that I feel is that you are using a service that you signed up for, that somebody else developed, that is the most popular way to download mobile games, and you are simply upset that you don't have the right to do that, because all Epic is saying is, don't give your money directly to Apple, give your money directly to me. And if the money was going directly to them, and they were the sole proprietor of all of this, they wouldn't be complaining. So the problem is I have to use somebody else's platform, and I don't like it. So personally, I am not on Epic's side for this one, at least not right now.
Felix?
Well, it would be like, I guess I was thinking of like a mall, like a physical brick and mortar mall, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the analogy, holds
No,
up.
I think you're onto something.
Well, I'm thinking like a brick and mortar mall. You get an opportunity to come into that physical store place, and you have a shop in the mall, but you pay
rent.
You pay rent to the mall.
You pay rent to be
You pay
in
rent
the
to the
mall. Yeah.
mall. So my analogy would be what Epic's fucking doing is they're pissed that they got to pay rent inside the mall. So what they did was they walked out in the fucking parking lot and they set up a goddamn fucking lemonade stand or some bullshit like outside in the parking lot that essentially is beyond the borders of the mall. You wouldn't say that the Epic game thing is not beyond. It's not beyond the borders of the mall. But anyway, they set their own shit up and they said, we want to be here in the parking lot and we want you to give me money directly. And then they stop payment on the property that they have inside the mall.
Or
right?
no, they're saying you can go inside the mall and pay more prices. Or you can buy it out here.
Park your car.
Go to our shop in the mall to get it, or pay us right here in the parking lot.
It's like park your car, and you can either stop halfway to the entrance to the mall, and your lemonade only costs $4.
Yeah.
Or walk inside the mall, finish your walk
to our other shop.
Go down the escalator. Go down the escalator. You got to walk halfway through the mall because you didn't park on the right side of the mall. Keep walking, and then you can get that same lemonade, but instead of it being $4, it's $7.
Yeah. So I'm walking in the mall, and I look over, and I see this fucking shitty piece of garbage fucking bullshit stand out there, and I go, who the fuck are these assholes? I'm walking in. I'm going to go into the mall.
Well,
because I trust the mall.
Right. You make a really good point about some of the articles that were written about this, is that like the trust issue is a huge thing that's involved in this, right? Like I have absolutely no problem using Face ID or Touch ID to make purchases, using Apple Pay to make purchases, doing any purchase on iOS. I am 1000% confident in my security and in my payments.
Right.
Where if I get redirected in a browser, I get redirected to a different app. If it was not a part of the Apple ecosystem, I don't know where I'm being redirected to, how my money is being managed, how it is being processed, right? So this is honestly a big concern, right? It's a big concern to have.
That is a concern about the Epic Game Store in most cases on the PC. That one, last year when they were gobbling, that was a huge concern about them because they don't have shopping carts. They don't have any way of managing. It's just the store was a mess last year, right?
It was when it first launched. It was a mess. What were you going to say, Trip?
No, I just going around talking about perspectives on this. I was going to lean heavily into the security aspect of it as well. It's being framed a lot of times as an antitrust issue right now, and not that that's not an important part of the conversation and might have to be addressed. You know, like the power that Apple has just in general to make these decisions kind of like across the board, or make concessions in very specific cases. Like I think there's an issue with not an issue, but like they have a special deal with like the Amazon Prime app because they want traffic on their Apple TV. And they want people to buy subscriptions through there, right? To like use their app. So obviously they say this is for everyone, but they might be able to bend the rules themselves. I think that's kind of fine in their prerogative because the trade-off is that we get this mega secure ecosystem to purchase things through, to safely know that our information is safe, you know, to make these payments, that no one's going to rip off our thing. I absolutely hate browser redirects in general. Like if I'm on Twitter and I open up like a link to something and it opens up inside the Twitter browser, I flip to Safari. Like I don't like my weird apps to try to do things that the apps aren't. And it makes me feel uncomfortable, you know? So like just knowing that I'm getting a clean, safe experience, that's what you pay that fee for. Mm-hmm. You know, you pay that to get all of that smooth ability and functionality onto your app. And again, like Felix's amazing point, you're mad at the mall, but the mall gives you a lot of benefits, including traffic.
Yeah.
And that's it, right? They want to be able to reach 1 billion devices, but they don't want to pay for that access. Mm-hmm. And that's what it comes down to. They want the access. but they want the access all to themselves.
Exactly.
And I honestly, it's funny, but the mall parking lot analogy
It's so good.
It
works. People are coming to the mall anyway. They're going to see you. You're just not paying rent.
Exactly. What were you gonna say?
I was just going to be real quick. I was going to say in response to Trip, he was talking about how there's like a antitrust thing argument here. Okay. Just so you know, the 20th century, the economists of the 20th century got us over the whole antitrust trust thing when they invented monopolistic competition as a term. Like, monopolistic competition is not monopoly. It's multiple companies that have a very, very strong hold in the marketplace that are competing with each other. And it's actually good economics to have a really strong company like Google and a really strong company like Apple competing heavily against each other. And the government will not side against that. They will not side against that under any circumstances. Epic is going to get steamrolled by both of these corporations, steamrolled.
So here's the thing. Let me throw a little bit more onto this. So
I
Epic.
also want to know your opinion as well, too, Neil.
Yeah, and I'm going to say it. I'll tell you that. Don't you worry. So what Epic is doing is they're trying to force Apple's hand because they believe, now this is from them, they believe themselves to be one of the only ones that has the money to put this fight up in front of Apple. Because their storefront on PC, they give developers a way larger cut than most storefronts. I think they take like 12% or something instead of the 30%, which is generally standard for most of these stores, most of these online platforms. So they believe they're doing the right thing by taking the stand, breaking Apple's terms of service as a developer, and taking this fight to courts to try and win this over.
Yeah,
that's what they believe.
They're hoping that they can take this as far as like the lower courts and then even higher to make it like a Supreme Court ruling.
Yeah,
right.
So
that's the goal.
The legal speak in the lawsuit is as follows. Epic is not seeking monetary compensation from this court for the injuries it has suffered.
That is bullshit. I'm just going
to... Nor is Epic seeking favorable treatment for itself, a single company. Instead, Epic is seeking injunctive relief to allow fair competition in these two key markets that directly affect hundreds of millions of consumers and tens of thousands, if not more, of third-party app developers. They are framing themselves as the martyr, the one that's taking on the good fight against the bad corporations that are
for all the little developers, for the little guys that can't do this fight, right? Correct. That's what they're doing. They're fighting for little guys. But I believe the reality is that they're willing to dump money into this court case because they can, because in the long run, and like they say, no, we're not seeking any compensation for this lawsuit. No, why would they care about that when if they win the lawsuit, they will be essentially making more money on Apple's platform in the long run because of their user base and the amount of, if they win this and Google and Apple has to now change their rules, then they end up winning in the long run because millions of people play Fortnite. They're going to make more money because of that, right? Like, so in the long run, they're looking at this as a smart business decision for themselves, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like the only interesting point before I hear your opinion, Neo, that I have about the monopoly standpoint is I could see this going in a way against Apple and Google, because I feel like as a government and a society, we are very afraid of the potential of how much bigger an Amazon, an Apple, a Google can become, because a monopoly like 50 years ago was around like oil. And like oil was important for a while, but oil doesn't fucking matter anymore. Like the tech giants that exist now will literally rule everything for the foreseeable future. So
it's gonna be a Blade Runner future.
Right? So like their monopoly, as they continue to put their hands in other areas and develop different things, like they're becoming much more than just a company that creates products, right? The ecosystem, the services, all of these things ingrain them into the culture and ingrain them into society to where their monopoly can be frightening to some. Take the whole Epic Game Store thing out of it. Like when a court goes to look at this, like them as a monopoly is pretty frightening, because there's plenty of movies that exist that this type of company becomes more powerful than the government. because of the things that they control.
A fucking global pandemic just happened, and the only businesses not affected whatsoever by this are all of the tech companies. Like, people are dying in the hundreds of thousands at this point worldwide, and these businesses are fucking flourishing suddenly. It's crazy to me, dude. Crazy.
So
it's not.
I am very curious to see how the courts go with this, even outside of just like the Epic Game Store granular thing that we're talking about, because the changes that Epic is quote unquote going for are ground sweeping changes to terms of service, right? It's not like they're claiming that they want like terms of service changes for the ecosystem itself, which is massive, because you're essentially telling another company that they can't run their business the way they want to run their business any longer, which is in and itself a major
decision. It's a scary proposition, right? That's that is the government controlling the way you behave things, and that's one of the things that you don't want to happen generally. But if I may, with my opinion on this whole situation,
please.
Overall, my top level view is these are $2 billion companies squabbling with each other to make more money, right? They want to make the most money possible, and Epic is using its user base and the public to kind of side with them by making this like viral video. And I think that's pretty shitty. I think it's a pretty shitty thing for them to do. And Apple, honestly, Epic broke their terms of service against Apple, right? Straight up, they broke the terms of service that they agreed to, and they completely subverted that, and now expect to be like appreciate, like they expect people to be appreciative of them doing that. But again, that was where Apple's terms, you got to use their storefront. Like, that was the privilege of agreeing to those terms. You get to be on the billions of devices that people own of the Apple, all the iPhones and all the iPads, whatever.
Now, the other thing that's interesting that we didn't hit on, which is like Apple slapped them and then came back around and then backhanded them, was Epic sues Apple. It's like, ha ha ha, here's our 1984 video. And Apple's like, okay, fine. You no longer can use any of your development tools. Every single development tool that you have for iOS, you no longer have access to starting next week. So you can no longer develop iOS apps at all for anything. You as an organization can no longer touch our platform. This is no longer just about Fortnite. You cannot be on our platform at all. No app updates for anything, no in-game things that you're working on right now, no future updates, nothing. It's all gone. And they were like, whoa, what the fuck? No, that can't happen. Here's an injunction. Court, stop this from happening. They can't do this to us. And it's like, yes, they fucking can. Yes, they can.
Yeah.
It's almost like they picked this fight knowing what was going to happen, but didn't realize that, like, oh shit, we didn't even think that they would do this. And Apple's like, you wanted to sue us. Here it goes.
Also, here's Apple's quote on that real quick. We very much want to keep the company as part of the Apple Developer Program and their apps on the store. The problem Epic has created for itself is one that can easily be remedied if they submit an update of their app that reverts to comply with the guidelines they agreed to, and to which apply to all developers, which was Apple's statement.
The problem that Epic has created for itself, I think, is just a great way to put it.
They started this fight, and then oh no, now their keys to the car are getting taken away, right? Like
the top tweet.
They're like rebelling.
The top tweet that is hilarious is a video, like clip of Steve Jobs in in his heyday, like on talking about the App Store. And there's an arrow that says developers get 70% of the profits. Like he laid it out in a keynote that's how it's going to be the App Store. And it's like you had evidence 20 or 30 years ago that this is how it was going to go.
Yeah, it's not a new thing. And people if we're being fair, there have been a lot of complaints about this business practice for a long time, right? This isn't a new conversation. Right. It might not have been a popular conversation. It might not have been in the forefront of anyone's minds. It's not new, but to Apple's credit, like before the App Store was really a success, Apple was like, here are the guidelines, right? It's only now that iOS has the reach of over 1 billion devices that everyone's like, whoa, that 30% is just too much for us now. You have 1 billion devices. We need this to be less because now it's no longer fair. Where it's like, I think you didn't realize how successful they were going to be and you signed up and now you just wish it was another way. But it's like, maybe you should have done it yourself.
Yeah.
And
which to be fair, it's what Epic is doing on PC. And it's
correct.
It's a little bit ironic that the company that holds exclusive games on their own platform away from other stores because they can afford it and they can pay for that. It's a little ironic that now they're crying about another storefront.
Well, that's the part that I have the most problem with, which is we're fine with exclusivity as long as it's our exclusivity.
Right.
Like, we're okay with it being exclusive as long as we're the ones in charge. We literally no longer want to pay rent, is what it comes down to. I don't want to pay rent anymore, and I've made enough money in V-Bucks
to make my lemonade stand in the parking lot.
and I can take you to court. And that's
the other thing is, are they getting tried in Santa Clara County, which is the county where Cupertino is? Are they getting tried? Is the court case happening there? Is Epic Games based there, or
let me see.
I'm only bringing up a historical point because
it's in San Francisco is where they're filing it.
Okay, so like the problem with Santa Clara County is where the original, it wasn't even a law, it was just a document written down in a courtroom in the 1800s. The original law, the original acknowledgement that corporations are people originated in Santa Clara County, and corporations are people. If they're people, they have their own property, and their own property in this case with Apple is a storefront that they made, and it's their right to make that and make money off that. And I swear to God, if you're trying to try this in that county, you're going to lose because they're going to side with the idea that this is a person. And this kind of argument has been through the Supreme Court and all the lower courts for years, constantly argued and constantly defended by this original statute that originated in Santa Clara County, where all those tech giants are, that corporations are people and have their own rights. And like, if Apple chose to do this at some point, no, the government is not going to be able to tell that person that they can't do it because it's their right. You know what I mean? To do it. Like a human right. It's crazy how this legal stuff really looks on paper, but they, a corporation like Apple, an entire giant body of people, or Epic or Google, have the same rights as an individual person in this country, and that's the way the courts view it. So like, unless Apple is infringing on rights, and they didn't because they had the terms and conditions laid out, you're going to enter in, this agreement with us. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to lose.
I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that Apple more than likely employs the best lawyers. And I am sure that the terms of service have been scraped over 5 million times way before this happened. So I personally don't see this going in the way of Epic, but I don't know. I
think it's going to come down to how much money do you think they can throw at this before it becomes.
Epic can't throw as much as Apple. Apple just hit 2 trillion market cap today.
Yeah, they hit 2 trillion today.
2 trillion. So literally fuck out of here. Like, seriously. Like, I mean, they could spend all of their money fighting this. Apple has every reason to spend their money fighting this because this is it for them. Like, this, you are essentially forcing Apple into a corner to fight for itself. And they have the most money. They have the most money.
Yeah,
so,
if they concede any point to this, it changes everything, which is obviously what Epic would want, right? For its own personal gain.
Yeah, so that might be the move. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the end goal for sure. Is the change, but it's everything.
No, what I'm saying is to get Apple not to be ordered by somebody to change their ways, but to get them to change their ways.
They won't.
So the move is to try and get Apple to change something, as opposed to
Right, but yeah, that's not
there's
not
no
going to
way.
happen.
I mean, they didn't back down to the FBI. They didn't back down to the federal
Right.
government. Like, what are you gonna like? You think fucking some dude, some fucking CEO on Twitter is gonna make Tim Cook be like, "Oh yeah, you're right, dude. We'll change our terms."
And the thing that's going to happen,
Fuck out of here! Like,
the
whole
crazy
fucking
thing.
government. They didn't back down for the
No,
government.
not at all. The thing that's going to happen with them losing access to their developer accounts is that it affects Epic as a whole, which means iOS and macOS development and all their tools they can't update or develop for. That's going to break a shit ton of games that are not Fortnite, but including Fortnite when the OS's update and change something about Unreal Engine and how it talks to Metal or some kind of tech inside the OS. And that's going to break like Mortal Kombat. It's going to break PUBG, which is funny, being another battle royale. Like there's so many games that use Unreal that run on either iOS or macOS that are going to break because Epic can't access developer accounts because of their current battle about the money in the App Store.
what's interesting is they both have a lot to lose here and I think, but ultimately, while Apple has a lot to lose, Apple does not give a fuck if Fortnite no longer exists.
Yeah,
Right?
They were fine before. They'll be fine after in terms of their own
So,
devices
like,
and technology.
In terms of who's going to break first, not just from like a monetary standpoint, but in terms of like who doesn't need one another, Apple does not need Epic Games at all to be successful, because everyone that plays it on iOS will either move to a different platform to play it or will find a new game on iOS because there's plenty of them. So all Apple's doing is moving someone from playing Fortnite to Apple Arcade, and they're getting more money. So
yeah,
like it's honestly silly.
How do you think Epic's going to look if they do end up conceding and being like, okay, we're sorry, we'll do 30%?
They'll get fried. Like, literally, they will get fried across social media.
Do you think
and then they'll get called out, and then they'll get called out for their own exclusivity in the Epic Games Store?
Good, and as they should. Do you think that's going to? I don't know. I forgot what I was going to ask.
There may be ripples. There may be ripples that happen. There will be fallout from this, regardless of which way it goes. Major fallout if Apple loses, like in terms of like iOS as a whole, major fallout. Not just like Apple lost the battle, but like our experience as end users of Apple products will change. Whereas if Epic loses, it's
no
more
Fortnite.
of like no Fortnite, and then where do they stand as developers? Where do gamers stand as, do they trust them anymore? What happens to their own storefront? Do like we as gamers go after them with pitchforks because they're hypocrites? Like who knows? But I think the fallout is definitely greater if Apple loses, because and more things are affected than just like the right to purchase where you want to purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Major changes would need to happen to iOS in general. Which is
damn.
Yeah.
Didn't something else just get denied? Something
xCloud.
xCloud, yeah, xCloud got denied too.
Right.
And that's what the people that are pro Epic are saying. Oh, hopefully xCloud gets on iOS. I get it. It is pretty disappointing that xCloud is not right now going to be available on iOS.
But that also is something that has its own, not its own pricing, but its own storefront built in, right?
Correct.
Right. Just like Stadia. Yeah, Stadia as well is not allowed on Apple as well.
Right. Like what Epic wants is Epic wants us to be able to download the Epic Game Store on iOS, and they want us to be able to purchase all of our Epic iOS games directly through the Epic Game Store at 100% in their pocket. They want the fucking stand in the parking lot, dude.
But isn't there there's a Steam app that's in iOS, right? And you can buy games through that, right?
I don't know.
No, you don't download Steam through the App Store.
No, I have Steam.
Yeah.
Steam is on iOS, yeah.
I know it's on iOS, but isn't it a separate download?
It's more of like a services app rather than like
I could see the Steam sale. So when I go into it, right, like I could see my wish list, I could see what's on sale. But I don't believe, like, let me just go to a
no, you can't buy on the iOS Steam.
Correct.
And I think on Mac you have to download it from Steam's website, not through the App Store. So they're not quote unquote benefiting from the Mac OS ecosystem.
Yes, you could not purchase through the Steam iOS app. So there you go. So right now, Epic could create an Epic Game Store, but all it would be to view what games are in there. And for Steam, it doesn't matter. Steam's already a monopoly, right? Like Steam doesn't give a shit if you can't buy games on iOS. You're not going to play them there anyway.
Yep.
Like it's an ancillary app, right? Like you're going to go to your PC to play them.
Yeah, it's your authenticator for logging in. That's about it.
Right. So I am very, very interested to see where this leads. I'll definitely be following it closely.
Yeah, I was glued to Twitter on the last week because
it's quieted down. It's quieted down. Like it's pretty silent at this point.
It's gonna get real boring and legal now that everyone has shown their hand. We just sit and wait for people to make decisions. You know, that's about it.
Yeah.
But like the ripples are gonna be wild for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm very curious about. For 100%.
Yeah, and I do think like if I'm playing devil's advocate to my own point, I do think there is some benefit, right? There is some overall benefit to some smaller developers that can't afford that 30% cut that Apple is taking, right? Like I do understand that perspective because I think that's the closest perspective that I can have is like a person that like if I developed a single app myself and hosted it, right? But like I think the other side that Epic might not understand as a single developer or a small team is like I want it to be on iOS because if it's not on iOS, I'm not making any money. So 70% money to me as a small studio or as to a solo developer is a lot fucking better than minimum wage somewhere else. So like working a 9 to 5. So it's like Epic, but I don't think Epic understands that. And maybe I'm misrepresenting the opinions of some smaller developers, but to me, like I would be happy with 70% if I developed an app. Because the flip side of that is
where
do I go to get my money? Like how does this app generate revenue? So if it wasn't for the ecosystem, I wouldn't even be developing an app because apps wouldn't fucking exist because iOS didn't happen and Android didn't happen. So like the basis of the thing that I'm doing wouldn't even be around if it wasn't for them. So who the fuck am I to say that 30% is not worthwhile? So yeah, I don't know. It's really hard for me to side with that side of the camp.
Yeah, I think they're making themselves out to be the martyr when it's nowhere near. It's nowhere near that, and they're banking on public perception and opinion to help sway literally Apple's entire opinion, and it's never going to happen.
Yeah, so I think what we'll do, as we mentioned, everyone listening, we're going to be changing up our format to a format very similar to what you just listened to tonight, which is we kind of unpack for a longer discussion a single news topic. I think with this one, we will follow it closely. We will add snippets of this to future episodes as things progress. But we might not necessarily dive deep into it. We might just mention it before going into a longer discussion to make sure that, we're continuing this conversation. Because this is a very, very big piece of news. Probably one of the bigger pieces of news we'll face in 2020 as it relates to gaming. So we'll continue to update around this as things get posted. But just to kind of reiterate where we're at and where we're going with the show is we really do want to start unpacking a single topic like we just did. So we're going to continue to do that. Personally, and I think the guys would feel the same way, I would really encourage all of our listeners to provide feedback around this and engage us, whether it be in our Discord or on Twitter, around what you thought of tonight's episode, because we'd love to hear feedback around the change to the structure. We've done the show the same way for a really long time, but we feel pretty passionately about the way that we're changing the structure. So please provide some feedback.
Yeah, long time from being drunk and not really clear on what we were going to talk about.
Yeah, as I said to the guys earlier, Felix and I used to probably drink 2 or 3 scotches and then start looking at news articles right before we record the show. So yeah,
Oh my god,
this is definitely an upgrade.
Those were the days.
And pizza. And then Felix would be like, "Fuck, I can't find anything."
Let's just talk about the show Vikings, man. It's awesome. It's a good show.
We'll bring Minty on and just talk about Spider-Man.
Yeah, let's do Spider-Man, man. Let's just talk about him.
Yeah, long way coming. Did you guys want to add anything to that? Sorry, I kind of took that on and just.
No, I think it's a great place to end. I think we all kind of capped the discussion there, and then you just did the call to action about the feedback, and I love it, and I'm excited for the future. So yeah, like Locke said, let us know what you guys think, and if you have ideas, if you're missing something in the show now, if you need a new place for some kind of content, if you loved it, I mean, anything, any ideas, let us know, because obviously we want to give you guys value when you listen to us. So that's what it's all about, and we think engaging at this level with a topic is going to be better for discussion and for your listening enjoyment. So let us know what you think.
Awesome. You can find me on Twitter at Locke_key. Yeah, that's really it. Just follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you there.
Felix.
Yeah, and this is Felix Hergood, twitch.tv/Felix Hergood. I'm on a hiatus from playing games due to COVID-19. Not that I have it, but I'm just on hiatus because fucking bullshit. And that happens. Bullshit happens. And then on Twitter, Felix Hergood, you can follow me there, and definitely follow Emergent_Gamer, our show Twitter account. Please do that as well.
It's okay that life got in the way. It's okay, Felix.
It's totally okay, dude.
I'm workshopping it. You guys helped me in our meeting the other night.
Good.
It was good.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Trip.
No, it's good. I am Trip Zero. You guys can find me all over the internet at Trip Zero TV, but primarily twitch.tv/Trip Zero TV, where I'm live Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 to 11. And right now we're doing Breath of the Wild, working on the 100%ing of that game. We're going strong at like 56%, I think. And the goal is to get that game 100%ed before Tony Hawk comes out, and then ripping right into Tony Hawk. So
when does that come out?
September 5th.
September 5th.
That's a Friday, which means I'll be hitting it on my stream.
Did you just say 56 fucking %?
Yeah.
What?
A lot of Koroks, dude. A lot of Koroks.
God damn. You told me you were like finished and you beat all the shit, like you got motorcycles.
I know it does nothing.
56%.
The percentage of the game is based on map completion, which includes finding locations and getting Koroks. So it's all
shit.
That's what you got to do. So yeah, that's the adventure, and hopefully we make it in time to skate in some classic warehouses, and I'm very excited for that.
Hell yeah. I've been NeoAyoshi. You can follow me at Twitter at Neo_Yoshi, twitch.tv/NeoAyoshi. I'm just streaming a variety of stuff right now. No new game on the horizon, but just enjoying whatever I feel like playing.
Dope.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome, everybody.
See you guys
Thank you for
next week.
listening. We'll see you next week.
Later.